Yo, what's poppin'? You currently locked in with the coldest podcast in the land. I'm your boy, B. Jones, a.k.a. Bolo, and you know when I'm pulling up to the porch. I can't pull up without my dog.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, Darnell, a.k.a. D-Nice, a.k.a. Big Smitty. And where we at again, Bolo?
Y'all know we in a place to be, so tell a friend to grab a drink and pull up, because this is the porch.
Started on the porch, that was where it all began. Had to put in work, every day we got it in. We chased all our dreams and now they can't believe it. We make it look easy, we achieving everything we need. Now we undefeated. If we link, no, it's only business. If we get to speak and leave them speechless. I did things for free, but now it costs to see me. When you see me, you ain't gotta greet me. Just don't plot to sneak me. I'ma see it, I'ma stop and watch you lose and get defeated.
Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
We got another good one right here, man. How you doing, bro?
Yes.
We got it. Bro, I've been waiting for this one all week, for a couple weeks.
It's only right. I think it's the perfect time to have this guest on, seeing where we are right now with just sports, just your hometown, you know what I mean? Your city, it's only right.
It's almost your city now. You've been here long. You've been in that long enough.
It is almost my city, but I'm such a Chicago guy that I really just can't let it go just yet.
Okay.
So maybe if the Colts win the championship, Pacers win the championship, maybe I'll just jump on the Hoosier train.
Nah. You gotta hop on before. You can't hop on. You can't wait till the success comes. You got to go through the struggle.
Look, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to admit that I can be a bandwagon. All right. Just like I was a Colts bandwagon, I quickly jumped off that train. But we'll get to that later in the show. So
yes. Let's get to our special guest today, man. Big time guest. She's a journalist, a sports anchor, reporter. Currently working at WTHR, Channel 13 News in my hometown, Indianapolis, the very talented Taylor Tannebaum. Welcome to the porch.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to pull up today. You guys, that was a really warm welcome.
Okay.
I have to say, I've been waiting all week. I know we had some scheduling snafus last week, so I'm happy to be here now.
There might be less football being played, but BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this playoff season. From score totals, player performance props, to where the next fire coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. Again, that's BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get started. And it's just not football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Awesome.
Of course. How are you doing? Before we even get into it, how are you doing? How's life for you? 2022, still early in the year. How are you feeling right now?
I can't believe January is almost over, which is nuts, but I'm doing good. I can't complain. Got a lot to be excited about. Mm-hmm. Football's over, so we kind of transitioned into basketball life, some other stuff. Yes. It's cold as hell, but we're surviving. I can't complain. Life is good.
I heard the wind chill yesterday. I was talking to my mom earlier this morning. I heard it was like -8 or something like that yesterday.
Yeah, and then you have to walk a dog. It's terrible.
Ooh, man.
Yeah,
it was like 65 out here in LA, and I thought it was cold. So I guess I'm soft now.
LA,
you make the good choices.
LA lifestyle. You just changed on us, bro. In the heat, you don't even know what a coat is anymore. Probably ain't got no boots no more.
I still keep a pair of my Timbs now. I got a pair of black Timbs in there just in case. You gotta keep one pair, but
that's fair.
But yeah, let's jump. I mean, you kind of mentioned it. Football season, it's towards the end. It's over for our Colts, unfortunately. Obviously, you covered the Colts all year. That just gets straight to it. What went wrong for the Indianapolis Colts? Because I was so pissed off, Taylor. We went, I think, 10 of our last games. We went on an 8-2 stretch. We were rolling, winning games, and then right at the end of the season, we lose against the Raiders and then the damn Jaguars. What happened? Educate the porch, please.
I wish I had a better explanation than to just say the season didn't really get off to a great start. And I think that set the tone for a lot of it. And while I think that they were able to dig themselves out of a hole, the hole was already a little bit too deep. And while they were right there staring down the barrel, able to, capture a playoff berth, I think that Raiders loss really, really hurt them. In terms of confidence, in terms of unity. I do think that COVID, I don't want to say the illness part played a factor because I think they were healthy enough. I think it was missing time. I think there was so much debate internally on some of the leaders not being vaccinated and some of them, being vaccinated and how that kind of played a role. I think there was, I don't want to say between the players, there was division, but you heard, higher ups talking and that trickles down to the players. So I just think there was a little bit of a disconnect the whole season. And I just think it didn't get off on a good foot with Carson Wentz, getting hurt and missing some time early. And then from there on out, it was just, it starts at the quarterback position, if you ask me.
Come on now.
She's keeping it real.
I'm going to keep it real with you. I think it starts at the quarterback position. I don't think it panned out the exact way they wanted them to. I think people figured them out late. And I just think that towards the end of the season, there was a little bit of a disconnect between coaching staff, players, and the way things were rolling. And to be honest with you, I think maybe this needed to happen only because I don't think, even though they can say at the beginning of the season, this is a championship roster, and I think there are parts of it, it just proved there is still a lot to be fixed, and you better start now before you even regress even further.
100%. Now, seeing that we're on the Carson Wentz subject, is he the answer? Is he there for the long term with the coach, or should they start?
Oh, she answered that right away. She said no.
I just don't see him. I know he has another year on his contract at least for him to fulfill. And I wouldn't be surprised if they stick with him just because the market is very weird.
Right.
And you can try to bring in a couple of other pieces that will stay there, whether you switch out the quarterback or not in years to come. Some playmakers, a tight end, a wide receiver. You can bring in some pieces to surround Carson Wentz with maybe next season if you stick with him, and it'll only elevate you. And if Carson isn't the answer, you can then move on and still have those pieces. But I believe when Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay say they're going to look at every avenue here, they are really, that's not just a cliche saying.
Right.
If you read between the lines, in my opinion, of Chris Ballard, the general manager's end of season press conference, there was no vote of confidence.
None at all.
None. And he never outright said, like, he did say Carson did some good things. Of course he did. There were times in the season where he did do some good things.
Yeah.
He's not, the worst quarterback in the league. He's far from that.
Yeah.
But I think that there was no vote of confidence in the fact that, like, we are committed to this guy and we want to see it through. You heard the Giants come out the other day saying, we've been putting Daniel Jones in really bad situations. We're going to stick with him.
Right. Yep.
Boy, you got to see it through. They're going to see it through because they trust him. You heard none of that here. And I just think that maybe they're hearing some things internally from important players. Maybe, I don't know, they feel like they could do better at that position. I think you need to get feedback from the guys on your team who are pillars of your team. So we'll see. But I think they really will evaluate every avenue. I don't know where they would go. Maybe a Russell Wilson. I think Aaron Rodgers is super far-fetched.
I was going to ask you that question. Like, do we got a chance at A-Rod? I know I'm wishful thinking.
I mean, I want to say yes, but then again, it's like there are still a lot of other key pieces missing. And why would you, if the Packers sign Devonta Adams again, and you have an Aaron Jones, why the heck would you leave that to come here? It's not like you have equivalent playmakers here and you get out of the environment. Like, I don't think that there's anything here except for the fact that
MVP running back, O-line.
And that's the one thing I will say is that people are like, why would anyone come to Indy because of the market, right? I understand it's not a flashy market and it's a little bit different than the NBA. It doesn't really work like that in the NFL. But you do have every quarterback wants a running back like a Jonathan Taylor, and every quarterback wants an offensive line like the Colts potentially have on paper. They have to continue. They need I think they need a fix at left tackle with the whole Eric Fisher deal, but people will want to come because of Jonathan Taylor in the offensive line.
Yeah.
So you can get a big name. That's why I think A-Rod's a little far-fetched. But I could see like a Russell Wilson potentially being interested at least.
The only thing about Russell Wilson is that I feel like there's a lot of rumors that, he's married to a superstar in Sierra, and I keep hearing these big market. He wants a big market. So it's like,
fair.
He might want to go to New York. I don't know. I don't know where he would go, but in terms of like, if you want to win now and have an opportunity to win now, if I'm a quarterback like Russell Wilson or A-Rod, I think the Colts give you a chance. I'm not saying it's like a home run, but you have defense was solid this year. One of the top O-line. AFC South.
What about the receiving core, though? I hear the depth chart is looking pretty thin right now at receivers, though. I think a lot of quarterbacks want to figure out who they'll throw to.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
I think that any quarterback who wants to come here wants more playmakers. You have it in the backfield. There's no question. You have Jonathan Taylor. Naheem Hines is great. If you want to, dump it off and hand it off to him, that's great. You're fine there. But they definitely do. I think Pittman is great for the future, but you don't know what you really have. Harris Campbell, when he comes back, he's great when he's healthy, and you want him to be great, but you need some answers there. And I think before they solve that and they get a big name to come here, I just don't know any scenario right now that's going to have the Colts in the Super Bowl next year, whether it's Carson or anybody else. But I do think long-term, it's not Carson.
100%. And I think too, like when you're starting to build like a consistent like franchise where like you're consistently good year in and year out, you got to start putting those pieces together, now to start building for the future. I think right now, one good thing about the Colts is they have been in those conversations the last couple of years of potentially getting there. Right. Yep. But it's always been a couple plays or, just a couple bad streaks that are just, quickly just count them out, right away. So I think for me, it's like when I'm looking at the AFC, I'm like, if we can find a quarterback that can play like a Josh Allen or, Mahomes or a Joe Burrow, I just think at this point right now, I don't want to go year to year, but, I don't think Carson Wentz really match up well with those type of quarterbacks. I just think, Indy's Indy, but they need a good quarterback to sit here, in this market to make it make sense for us to actually get to, AFC championship and Super Bowl.
It's tough though. Like, how many Josh Allens and Mahomes are out there though? You know what I'm saying?
Josh Allen from Wyoming. You may find it's a diamond in the rough. You may find them. You never know.
But
and
even
the problem is you get those in the draft, and they don't have a first round pick this year.
True.
And you kind of got to figure out where you go from there. You can keep bringing in Band-Aids. And Chris Ballard even said that he doesn't want to keep band-aiding the situation. And I do think they're a quarterback away, but with an asterisk, and a couple of playmakers away.
Right.
You can bring in quarterbacks, but you do need a playmaker. You need a DeAndre Hopkins type player. You need one of these kind of guys, at least one. You have the running back, but where is your other playmakers? Like Michael Pittman's good, but he's not there. He's really good. And maybe he'll get there. This was only year 2. I just think about it often, and I know we've stopped talking about it, but I just think, man, if Andrew Luck didn't retire, and it's painful to say, but it really, and I understand his decision. I respect it. I will never bash him for making a personal decision, but it set this organization back. It definitely did, because you had to maneuver a lot of other pieces now, spend money elsewhere, focus your attention elsewhere. If he would have, could see them playing this weekend still if he were here.
I forgot, man. If we had Andrew Luck with this same roster, we're at least in the AFC Championship. Yeah. I'm not saying we're winning, but we're in the AFC Championship.
In the conversation, man.
Andrew Luck had us going 11-5, like with the average team. And he was getting, that's when our O-line wasn't even that good yet. He was getting hit and sacked so many times and was still winning games. Oh man, Taylor.
I think about it often because we don't talk about it much anymore, but when you stop and think about it, you can't necessarily be surprised that the Colts are kind of in the scenario that they're in, a little bit in limbo, because definitely did a number on them for sure. And I respect it. I understand it, but it definitely hurt them.
You're gonna have me crying on the porch today, man. You're gonna have me crying on the porch. But we definitely appreciate that knowledge from you, man. But let's dive into you. Let's dive into Taylor and your journey, because just doing research and learning more about you, I think you have a very interesting, journey, and a lot of people can learn from it. So let's go back to the early years. So you're originally from Florida, South Florida, a place that a lot of people go to vacate and have fun and turn up. So what was life like growing up in Florida?
So I'm from Fort Lauderdale, like a little burb of Fort Lauderdale. It's called Plantation. Gotcha. And that's all I ever knew. So, I was still like 20 minutes away from the beach. But it was, I loved growing up in South Florida. All my friends most of them still live there, because why would you ever leave? My family's all still down there, but it was like normal life. I went to the beach often. You're always outside. You play sports year round because of that. It's a great place to live. The culture is unmatched only because there's so much, that's what I've learned along the way as I moved to Alabama and then I moved to Indiana, and culture is just different. All those other places, like, I was home recently for Christmas and I was riding bikes on the boardwalk with my mom at Hollywood Beach. And along the way, you see different, you said like an Ethiopian restaurant, a Greek restaurant, just a bunch of different, and you hear different music, you hear, Spanish music, you'd hear all this. And I said to her, I was like, man, the culture is just different.
Yeah.
And I loved that about it because you get a little bit of everything down there. Now, granted, the whole state of Florida is a little nuts, but the portion, of West Palm South is where I'm from. So it's not the same as all crazy Florida.
Right. It's funny you said that because I feel like every time if I'm scrolling on Instagram, at least once a week, I hear some random crazy ass story, and it's always in Florida somewhere. Florida.
Yeah, I don't claim it. It's a lot less crazy when you go West Palm South. It's a lot less crazy.
What I'm about to say right now, it might shock you, but the greatest quarterback of all time is not just a GOAT on the field. He's a GOAT when it comes to investing too. He invests in stocks, crypto, and even art. Now you can invest just like the GOAT with Masterworks. Masterworks is the investing platform that lets you buy shares representing an investment in art from icons like Picasso. And even greater, art price outpaced the S&P 500 by 164% from 1992 and 2021. In fact, early investors already received over 30% IRR in 2020 and 2021 from the sale of 2 paintings. This is your opportunity to join 300,000 other members and invest just like the GOAT. Go to masterworks.art/believe. That's masterworks.art/believe and see important disclosures at masterworks.lo/disclaimer. Go to Masterworks, y'all, and invest like the GOAT. Got you. I got you. So you mentioned, obviously, growing up, you're playing sports all the time, being outside. When did you really fall in love with sports? Is there a particular moment or anything that like stands out where you're like, okay, I love this shit?
I just I've always loved sports. Like I was always a little bit of a tomboy growing up. I always played sports. I really grew up playing, my main sport was soccer. Nice. Just because that's what a lot of, in Florida, that's really soccer is a big deal. It's grown a lot here in Indy. Yeah. So that's really what I grew up doing. So I was just always outside, running around at PE, whatever, normal. I was always an outdoors person. My dad owned sports memorabilia stores growing up. Yeah. They were called the Sports Arena. So we had season tickets to everything. He would have autograph sessions on Saturdays inside the malls where you'd have like big names come. And I was young, I was little. I was, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old when he was doing this, but right. We had season tickets. So I grew up going to Heat games and Dolphin games. That's just what I knew.
It was like regular. It was no normal day for you, right?
Yeah, we picked up subs on the way to the Dolphins game. And that was our Sunday. That's just what we did. So I've always loved it. My dad was into it. My mom's also into sports. She didn't necessarily play anything like that, but she's always been a fan. My brother too. He grew up playing sports. My younger brother. So it was just I've always loved it. And even in high school, like I could always talk with the guys about it. And they were always like, whoa, that's crazy. And in high school, we had a girls flag football team. It's a Title IX sport down there. So it has like state championship and everything. It's very normal. So I was always on that, it was just, I've always loved sports and how it unifies people and it makes you happy. Like, it's just, aside from like you mentioning Andrew Luck retiring, for the most part, you get really happy. Right. And that was just always something that I just think it's such a great unifier, and it's always just been my thing.
That's cool. And I, like you said, like growing up and seeing so many different athletes, it almost becomes almost like the norm for you. Right. But I guess, being in that space, I guess, who are some of like your favorite athletes to see? Like, oh, this is, so-and-so, or, oh my God, like, I can't believe like I'm in the same room with, this person.
Right. So it's funny because as you do this job, you get really desensitized to it because you realize like y'all are just normal people. Like you guys played football, like you guys played football. Like at the end of the day, it's just like, you're just like an average person, but still like there are certain people like Dwayne Wade is obviously my ultimate.
Nice.
Love him so much. I would probably freak out if I have not been in a room with him. I would probably freak out.
We gotta set that up.
Yeah, love him so much. Growing up, I was a big like Jason Taylor fan for the Dolphins. And Miguel,
I know his sister. Shout out to Joy Taylor. I'm friends with his sister.
Yes, she's incredible. I love what she's done in this sports media space. I Also, I mean, who else? Miguel Cabrera and Dontrell Willis. You know, Dontrell Willis, I've told him before, like, you're my childhood idol. Like, it's crazy. Like, you're an adult now, but like when I was growing up, he was my idol.
Yeah.
So those are some people that I like, you know, if in a room with them, I'd be like, hey, what's up? Still to this day. Because I mean, we all have those childhood heroes that meant something to us growing up. Yeah.
Right. No, I love that. So obviously you mentioned you and your dad would every week would go to some type of game together, and that was your time spent, you know, kind of that quality time you spent with your father. Is there a certain game that you went to, whether it's a D-Wade game winner or a crazy Dolphins game, that just like a certain moment with you and your father that like you always kind of hold to your heart?
Yeah, I guess it's not really a game, but I will say like so many. Like I remember going to Dan Marino's retirement celebration at the stadium.
Damn.
Oh man.
And I want to say like Hootie and the Blowfish played a concert. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember crying. Like, why was I crying? But everyone else was really emotional. So I remember exactly where we were sitting, but the couple of things that stand out to me is when the Marlins won the World Series. I think it was 2001 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
My dad pulled my brother and I out of school and went to the parade in Miami.
Damn.
And then I think we went to go eat at like Flanagan's after.
Ooh.
Crazy.
So that's like one thing I remember. And then there was also a time he pulled us out of school when the Stanley Cup was in town, at the Panthers arena, Florida Panthers arena. And so you got to go take pictures with the cup. I have that picture somewhere, but those are what I remember. Like we got pulled out of school to go do those things.
Hey, ain't nothing like getting pulled out of school to do some fun stuff. Like what?
Yeah. So those were some of the cooler moments for sure.
Nice.
I love that.
So, I mean, obviously now, you know, you're a superstar broadcaster and journalist, you know.
She's like, please.
Far from it.
Man, listen, we give people their flowers on here. You are a star.
Why you here? We letting you know.
We're telling you right now.
Can't come to the porch, Taylor. We letting you know. Look, you're a superstar.
Everybody, say it again. Everybody can't come to the porch.
Come to the porch.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'm lucky.
So, you know, obviously, you know, right now you're doing your thing on the broadcasting and journalist side, but, you know, you mentioned growing up, you know, you're like, hey, I'm a tomboy. I love sports, you know, played soccer, softball, cheer, was a gymnast. I guess out of all those sports, you know, I guess what do you consider, you know, your favorite sport being? What were you best at?
Well, I loved soccer. That was like my favorite sport. And I was really good at it growing up. But then when you get to middle school, you have to play travel. And you just, you know, people start getting into travel, like, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
My parents never put me in travel. My dad worked weekends, so it would have been really hard for my mom to have me and my brother, and it would just be too much. So I never played travel soccer. So I kind of plateaued while everyone else elevated. And I was always very good, but it just never amounted to anything. So I played high school soccer. There were times like I rode the bench a lot. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's cool.
But I would always come in for a spark. But in flag football, I was all district team.
All going crazy.
Ooh.
I was an all district cornerback. Okay, I was
corner.
You was locking shit up, Taylor.
What?
You was locking them up at cornerback.
Lockdown.
I was. I can find you a picture of that for sure. But my big thing that I always is I loved cheerleading more than anything in the world when I was young. Yeah. And I was pretty good at it. And they finally signed me up for competitive cheer. And then 7th grade came around, and being from South Florida, you have a lot of Jewish friends. I am half Jewish myself. So in 7th grade, I found out, you know, all my competitions are on weekends, and I was going to have to miss all of my friends' bat mitzvahs.
Oh.
And I told my parents I quit, and they were like, you're not quitting. We just paid a lot of money for this. And I was like, I'm quitting. And then I quit, and I never went back to cheerleading.
And that's that.
And when I went to high school, it was a new high school. I went to like a different high school than my middle school. So I didn't cheer there because I was like too nervous to try out. So that was the end of my cheerleading career. And I did a little bit in college for like my sorority. There was like philanthropy events. And that's just my one regret is I wish I never quit cheerleading because I loved it so much.
So I gotta ask you, so all right, were you like up on the like being held up? Was you doing the backflips?
I was a base.
Okay, the base.
So I held them up. So
yeah, she's strong. Like she's a football player. So she in the
okay.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm 5'2" now. So people think I was maybe a flyer, but I was not. When I was growing up, I was always like the bigger girl, like not tall, but like I was always built a little thicker.
You know?
We have some meat on the bones. So yeah, I was a base, and it was fun. It was just so much fun. And that is my one regret. Here's my
Ooh,
look at the stands.
that's
Toe
a
to heel
great
ratio.
stand.
You see the toe to heel ratio right there?
Toe to heel. She got
We
the
were
back
ready.
going to angle.
We got
Oh
the
my
French
God.
braid with a little pre-wrap headband.
Going crazy.
You know, here we are pulling flags.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
Doing
I like.
insane.
Yeah, Taylor was a
See, Taylor,
dog.
it's so crazy. See, out in Indy, shout out to CCA. I was on the flag. I was doing some flag a couple years ago. Damn, I could have hit you up. We could have been out here going crazy.
Call me.
Remember the flag? Yeah.
We was on the flag football. So before I moved out, remember I messed my knee up. That's when I was out of shape.
Yeah. Darnell came out there
First
did his
day.
thing and flag, and tore himself up. One game, he was one and done, man. So
Man.
They're not built like they used to be. The joints and muscles.
Yeah,
no, seriously.
it was those first years after we got done playing balls, like playing football at Ball State, and like I ain't gonna lie, I blew up. I was just eating, still living. We were still lifting weights heavy, but we wasn't doing any cardio.
No
Like
movement.
you cut it was like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, I just got real big. So at that time, I think my knee was like, we can't do that.
That's crazy.
But yeah, man. So yeah, let's go to your career. Obviously, so for college, you went to Florida State.
Yep.
Let me ask you this: there's a lot of popular schools in Florida. What made you choose Florida State over USF or the University of Florida? Like, what went into that decision?
So ultimately, I wanted to go to Florida. I always grew up a Gator fan. It didn't get in.
What?
Which I have no shame in admitting now because I should have gotten in. My application, all of my friends got in. I was like the only one. My application was just as good, if not better than half of them. Love my friends. Sorry, shout out to my friends, but
Just keeping it real.
And I appealed it. They still said no. So I was like, okay, I could either go there or UCF. Like I only applied to those three.
Gotcha.
And I got into UCF in Florida State. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to UCF. I'd rather go to Florida State. It's farther away. They have the tradition.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of friends going there as well. So I was like, we're going to Tallahassee. It was the best decision. It ultimately ended up being the best thing for me because, I separated from some of my friends, went into my own sorority, had a blast. Florida State's everything that you think it is. It's that crazy. But so much fun. And, with the sports, it was a great experience. So that's how and it was 7.5 hours away from home still, but still in state. So you still get that in-state money.
Yeah.
Right.
Far away. So that was nice.
Damn. Well, quickly, give us some game. Like obviously FSU, they're not the greatest now, but they were at a point notoriously known to always be that top tier, top 25 team, year in, year out. What was those environments like? Just being in, the stadium, playing some of the top teams. Obviously, like some state games, right? Playing, either UCF, Miami. What was that like?
Oh, those Miami FSU games are legit in November. Like they're the real deal. It's crazy in Tallahassee. It's packed. Like when it's a night game and everyone's doing the chop, like there's really nothing like it. And it's the largest brick stadium, I think, in the country, maybe brick building, one of the two.
Yeah.
And when it's packed, it's something and it's beautiful. It's very nice and it has that historic feel to it. So those days were fun. I remember traveling to Charlotte for the ACC championship, my sophomore year, maybe my freshman year.
Yeah.
2009, 10. It was still EJ Manuel, I think, or Christian Ponder. I think it was still EJ Manuel.
Yeah.
We ended up losing to Clemson, I'm pretty sure. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. I think so.
It was Clemson. We ended up losing that game, but we shouldn't have. Like that year, we should have actually won that game. So that was really sad. But it was always just like the best environment. So much fun. But then when you work in Alabama for 5 years, and you get to go to Auburn and Alabama every Saturday, it's just a different world.
Oh man.
What do they call the game? What do they call that game again? The Iron Bowl or something like that?
Iron Bowl.
Iron
But when
Bowl,
you go to those stadiums every Saturday, don't matter who they're playing,
It's rocking.
Rocking.
It's just it's just a different land.
Your whole facial expression like changed when you go to Alabama.
It's different. Like I will say FSU, the environment's incredible and it's, in my opinion, one of the best in the state. But I've been to plenty of games in the swamp too to see Florida, and that's amazing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing quite like the SEC.
That's crazy.
That's facts.
I tell you, I went to Michigan O State this past year, and
that's probably pretty equivalent.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, obviously it was cold, it was snowing, so obviously it kind of took away the effect just a little bit, but the energy in the place was so crazy. Like, it was like, obviously we played, in the MAC, you know what I mean? So we're not playing in front of 60, 70,000 people, but we've played against like Oklahoma and Clemson. So we've gotten that feel, but being in that environment and just seeing so many people and like people like at the FSU, the Miami, the Michigans, Alabama, they are invested in their team. Like they love their team. Like they will literally beat your ass. Like you talking anything about their team. Like it's so crazy how invested people are in their teams.
Tailgating starts at 8 a.m. It is rowdy. You're lucky if you even make it to the game at that point.
Crazy.
And people get weird.
She said, "Get weird." What's the craziest thing or like the weirdest thing you've seen like during a tailgate or something?
You see so many drunk people, half these people, and it's still warm down south. So like everyone has their shirts off. They're painted like Miami fans will come. They're painted like half orange, half green. Like it's just insane. Like it's just wasted. People are like wasted to go to these football games. I'm like, just go watch it from your couch.
For real.
Like, I mean, there's times I've gone to games that I don't necessarily remember going to the game.
Right. We've all been there.
Absolutely.
Man. So let me rewind. I mean, I guess a tad bit. At what point at FSU did you know you wanted to, go into like sports broadcasting? Like, was that just your major from the jump, or did you switch your major a couple of times? Like when did you know that's the path you wanted to go?
I knew since high school. I did it in high school. I did like TV production in high school. Shout out CTV. Okay. And I always knew I wanted to do sports. I never wanted to do news. I don't like news. I think it's terrible and I hate it. So when I got to FSU, I knew that I wanted to go into there. They didn't have a sports broadcast program like Florida does. They have a big program. It's more media production. Gotcha. And you can have to pave your own way. So you have to do internships, and there's one sports reporting class that I took 4 different times on 4 different course codes. Like I was TA, I was like an elective, just to be able to take it because I was the only course they offered. So I knew going in, like, that's what I wanted to do. And I stayed the course, and that's literally, I mean, that's really all I've ever wanted to do. If I wasn't doing this, maybe I would be a teacher, maybe something in criminal justice reform. But back then it was like strictly, this is all I want to do.
Got you. That's interesting because like I meet so many different people, obviously being, in the sports media field myself. Like my path was so unique because, just coming from where I come from, the far east side of Indianapolis, I didn't really see too many people that was on TV and stuff. So for me, it just was never a thought because I just never seen it. It wasn't realistic for me in the moment. But like looking back in hindsight and knowing my personality, knowing at my high school, we actually had like a production at Warren Central. Yeah. So shout out to Dub CTV. So I had my own little show on there every Friday before our games. But at the time, I just wasn't thinking about that as a career for whatever reason. So I went to college at Ball State, majored in marketing, just a business major. Right. And, but just through networking and connections, got a chance to come out to LA, start working at Fox Sports, and now I've just been grinding and maneuvering in this space. But it's just crazy hearing everyone's different, unique paths. Some people go more the traditional route. Like you say, you know what you want to do, right. Intern, boom, boom, boom. But then there's so many other unique stories. And we had Jamie Maggio on a few weeks ago, and she was telling us back in her days, like she had a boss at like a major network who told her early in her career that if she wanted to really be successful and take off, she should do Playboy for a little while. Like I guess that was an actual thing for women, I guess early on, that they would actually got to go that route to get. So I'm like, it's just interesting to hear the different angles. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me, I suppose. That would never fly now.
Right. Never.
Yeah, like in no way if I had like an OnlyFans, I would be able to do local TV. It's just not happening. Like, that's just not happening.
Right.
But yeah, no, and that's why I always tell people who are in the business, like, you have to just focus on your own path because everybody's just so different. But like, you're going to be discouraged half the time when you see some people's, how they get to where they are. And you're like, what? But like, it's because you just never know how you get there.
Yes, it's all unique. Then let me ask you this one thing. I mean, the time and like everything has shifted now to where I feel like women in this space are killing it. They're getting more opportunities. But just from a woman's perspective, are there still some things like just within this space that you feel like needs or could be improved or needs to be changed? Or do you feel like, no, like I get the opportunities that I deserve and things are kind of rolling in the right direction?
I do feel like opportunity wise, like you do, like there's a fair share. There's definitely a lot of opportunities for females to get into roles. Right. When it comes to, there's still some people who watch TV who I recently got a message like 3 weeks ago from a guy in Indianapolis who said he stopped watching Channel 13 because they hired a girl to do sports. That was a couple weeks ago. So there's still some of that. I will say I'll step into a press conference room for the Colts, and most of the time it's me and maybe one other girl, and there's about 20 to 25 men, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But that just shows you, like, especially in the writing side, there's still a lot of improvements that can be made. I just don't think there's a lot of females who go into print journalism as much as there is television.
Right.
And the other thing is, sometimes I do feel like maybe we get a lot of interviews that a guy wouldn't, but I sometimes find that it's harder to not blur a line. Like, sometimes athletes expect things because you're a female and then you may not get an interview because you didn't give them what they want. And if it were, my boss who's a male who did that, that would never even come into play. They would either do it or they wouldn't. So sometimes you feel like you have to toe a line and be a little nicer than you should be because you want to make sure you get an interview. And I don't like that. A lot of times, most guys are pretty good, but you do cross that from time to time. Fingers crossed people who, try to get something in return, and that ain't happening. And then it sours the relationship a little bit because you're just trying to be a professional, whereas guys don't have that problem.
Right.
Never have to think about that or worry about that, or am I being too nice? Did I give the wrong impression? Like, I hope not. Guys don't have to worry about that. So those are the only things. But opportunity wise, I've been very blessed, and I've had a lot of men in my career that have helped me get to where I am. They've hired me here in India. Calabro, pushed to hire me as well. People in my past, I've always worked with a male sports director, and they've been good to me. And the writers here in India especially are super gracious when it comes to me asking questions, and I pick their brain, and so I'm grateful for that. I've been surrounded by a lot of good men.
That's beautiful. And I definitely, we just encourage you to just keep doing that, because like you said, it's certain situations where, there's this girl who's trying to get to, where you are, may have hit a few bumps in the road just like that. Yeah. And that may just cause her to discourse and go another direction. But, keep going, keep driving. And, people like yourself, they see other people in those rooms doing the same thing. That just gives them motivation to, keep going and, want to inspire to be, that bomb journalist or broadcaster. So
gotta support each other. Got to.
Absolutely.
Got to 100%. And for the guy that was in your DM, he probably in the basement somewhere eating some pizza rolls. And
I called him out.
You did?
And I think his name was Matt. I responded. It was like on Facebook, like for everybody to see. And if you're going to be bold enough to post that, I'm gonna respond.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, Matt, I don't remember what his name is. I said, if there's ever a time you'd like to talk sports with me, I love to talk about it one-on-one. Let me know. Happy New Year. And he wrote back and said, I'm sorry for being, for what I said. I maybe should get with the times. And I said, I appreciate that.
Damn.
Half the time,
if you're bold enough to say it, then I'm going to talk shit back. I'm sorry, you don't just get a platform to just do whatever you want. In that same thread, somebody told me I wear too much makeup, which I have none on now. So thank you so much.
Let them know.
And somebody else wrote, she always wears the wrong colors to Colts games. Like, you're going to wear black when it was a Raiders game. And I said, it's black.
It's a neutral color.
And I said, if you want to pay for my clothes, please, I like Venmo me. I'll send you my name. I have Cash App.
Yeah.
That's
PayPal,
fine.
whatever you want to do. Quick Apple Pay, whatever. Man, don't worry. I know it's harder, or easier said than done. Man. But don't worry. Half these people, they just talking shit because they want your attention. And they know that if I say something negative, that might catch their eye, because it's human nature for us to like want to naturally respond and stuff because they're talking shit. So you keep doing your thing, man. Let the haters hate. They wish they were in your position. I like the trash talk. I get some crazy DMs myself, and I bring it on. I'm competitive too. So hey, talk crazy. So please bring it back. So, but let's go back to your career. So obviously, like you said, after you left Florida State, you went to Alabama for your first job. Explain just kind of how that was your first role. Were you nervous? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, how was that? How did you feel?
So like, I had the job lined up before I even graduated college, which is rare. And I got very lucky. So I was in Dothan, Alabama, which is very small. So it's market 179, which for people who don't know, this country is divided into 210 markets. 210 is the smallest. I was in 179. So it was very small, but it gives you an opportunity to cut your teeth and make mistakes. And the community really supports you because they all watch local news and they love sports in Alabama. So it was definitely nerve-wracking, but I was put in position to be able to thrive and make the mistakes and have opportunity. Like I just had a lot of opportunity, especially when you cover Alabama and Auburn. You know, that first 6 months in, I went to a national championship in Pasadena, California.
Right.
And it was nuts, you know, and so you meet a lot of people along the way and you build a confidence there. And then you realize like, okay, I can hang. If I watch my stuff from back then, I would probably cry. It's probably so bad.
You think
but
so?
I haven't watched recently. It's just like, it's just different. My voice is very like, still very, I haven't found it yet. Yeah. You know, I'm young. But it was the best experience ever because it's a bunch of like 22, 23-year-old young aspiring journalists who like moved to a small ass town in Alabama. Yeah. None of us we all come from probably way bigger places, you know, Massachusetts, one friend from there and one from LA, who's still my best friend, one, you know, me from South Florida. And you just kind of like learn to live paycheck to paycheck in a small town and just like soak in the environment. And it was the best experience I've ever had.
I love it. Sometimes, it's crazy that those moments of like early years where, you know, you're kind of a struggle, but you're learning and you're building together. Those are the moments that really stand out. Those are the moments that mean the most. And sometimes they just, you know, probably where you're at now, looking back, I'm assuming that you really appreciate just that growth and that journey. You know what I'm saying?
Those were like really transformative years. You learn a lot about yourself and how to like live on your own, and your parents aren't there even like close. So it's like, you know, it's just all of you guys. And when a lot of your friends are still at home, you know, you're working weekends and you're working these weird hours. You're not going home for holidays. So it's like, you learn a lot about you and how you can live on your own and how you make new friends everywhere you go. Like I had to make new friends everywhere I go. Yeah. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I have friends all over the country.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's definitely a grind. Like this business is not for the faint of heart. But Dothan, Alabama, I will always give credit to because it was such a great place. And the people, you know, definitely the state has a lot of growth to do when it just comes to life. Yeah. But I will always say they're the kindest. There's so much you can learn there. And it's a cool place and they love their sports.
Shout out to Dothan, Alabama.
Dothan, Alabama.
It's also, which weirdly enough is called the Circle City because it's built on a circle. So then I moved here and found out this was called the Circle City. And I was like, what the hell? I've come full circle.
Right. There's something there. Come on now.
You're right.
I don't want to get spiritual, but hey, come on now.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. No, I love it. Man.
So
jump in.
No, I was gonna say, Taylor, I mean, obviously moving forward, I guess you spent 2 years at WHNT in Huntsville. Shout out to Alabama A&M. My sister goes there.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've been there a few times. I've been able to see the campus, beautiful. I love like just kind of the Huntsville vibe. Definitely gives me a lot of different things as far as you know, what I'm looking at when I'm visiting. But obviously you cover Alabama, the Auburn games, the entire SEC. I guess talk to us a little bit about, so now you're in the SEC, you're covering those type of games. So that's prime time. You with, you know, future NFL players. So it's a big market. I guess, how was that transition for you covering games in that environment? Was it stressful? You know, did you find yourself, you know, being a bit nervous being in that type of market? Because I kind of consider like Auburn, Alabama, it's kind of like a notch away from the NFL, the way some of those players are getting treated.
100%. No, it is. It's almost harder to cover that than it is the NFL because the access is just so much harder because they're kids and they still have so many rules. Yeah. I found that professional sports is almost easier to cover. It was awesome. I mean, it was a lot. And those days are long. I would sometimes leave the house at 6 a.m. and wouldn't get home until 3 a.m. and driving 3.5 hours to go to these Tuscaloosa and Auburn just because of where I was located in the state. But you're watching and I would shoot every game. I was also the photographer. So you shoot it, you edit it, you get it on, you shoot your own stand-ups because I didn't have a photographer. You get it on air, would make it on at 6 o'clock, then you turn something for 11, then you'd head home. So it was definitely high stress situations, but it was always so much fun. And you would have to remind yourself the environment that you're in. Like, this is big time football. Like I went to Death Valley. I went to LSU for LSU, Alabama in 2000 and maybe 14, might've been 14. And it was 0-0 into the fourth quarter. It was a night game at LSU. And it was like, it was lit. Like, it was like insane. Like there's nothing like it. And, you know, it was a grind. You know, I drove that whole way just that day and drove back. Like we stayed in a crappy hotel, like next to a gas station in like Slidell, Louisiana. Yeah. And just like little things like that, but like nervous. Yeah. But like, your adrenaline's always so high when you're in those events that it was like,
it's game day. Like it's just
Time to rock.
And you get to see some really incredible players do their thing on every Saturday. I watch the NFL now, and every game I'm like Alabama.
Yep.
Auburn, LSU. Right.
It's nuts. It's insane.
Man, I couldn't imagine just being in that environment. Obviously, you're grinding, you got a job to do, but it's also it's fun as hell. And that's why I like being in this space. It's like any job you do is going to be hard, it's going to be work. So why not pick something that's also got a little, that's exciting and fun? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's like, yeah, it's a grind and it's a lot of work, but like, this is what I call my job. I'm very lucky.
That's real.
100%. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you might have mentioned it earlier. You were you still in school when Florida State won the national title, or you were at the game though, right?
Yeah. So I just graduated in the spring of 2013. Then they won that 2013 title. So I was like 6 months into my first job. And since I was covering Auburn, and because Dothan was still so close to Tallahassee, it was like an hour and 45 away.
Yeah.
And we had a player on Auburn and on FSU. We went to Pasadena. So I got to be there. I was standing in the end zone when was it Kelvin Benjamin caught the pass?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, caught the pass from Jameis Winston. I was in the end zone. I was like, it was so hard not to cry, just because it was like, it's emotional already.
Yeah.
And then it was my alma mater, and I was only a few months removed.
That's what I was asking. So it's like
it hit a little different.
Yeah.
So you were working the game.
Yes, I was working.
That's tough as hell. It's like you gotta get the day off. I think that day. Like, come on.
I got to go for free. I got a free trip.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Which was cool, but I will never forget going in that Auburn locker room after, and everybody was crying. That was my first taste of like how to navigate a locker room when it's like miserable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really sad. I'll never forget. Hysterically crying. I was just like, yeah, y'all blew that, but I don't know what to say.
Right.
She like, damn, that sucks, but hey.
So Taylor, that brings up a question for me. Like, obviously, like, the profession that you guys are in, there's a lot of situations that you guys have to be put in regardless of the outcome in the situation, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of situations how, like, after NBA post game, how frustrated they get up on a podium and be like, all right, what the hell y'all want? Like, so it must be hard for you guys to like get questions out and get everything you need, despite, however that person's feeling. I guess how do you maneuver your way into those situations to really get the quality information that you want after somebody just got whooped on?
Well, it starts with building relationships during the week. Like, it starts with laying a foundation of them trusting you as a person and you being just a normal human. Like, let's have a conversation. I'm not here to be like, so what happened? Like, hey, tell me how you're feeling. Like, what happened? Like I'm your friend. Like you can talk to me about it, and I'm not trying to make it so it's like a business transaction necessarily. I mean, that starts during the week when you build foundations with players and they earn that trust. And that's why it's been so hard the last few years. We don't have locker room anymore.
Oh, COVID, yeah.
But during the week, you would get to go in the locker room and kind of schmooze a little bit and get to know people. Now it's just podium. So that, we have Jonathan Taylor. I've never actually met him in person, like in a one-on-one, face-to-face, like at his locker where we can just bullshit. It's all podium for the most part, or Zoom. So that stinks. But that's how you do it. You kind of you let them talk, and there's going to be times when players just like don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you just kind of leave it be. I find that more in the NBA than I do in the NFL. But for the most part, people here, they're pretty good about it and they know what their job is. And sometimes there'll be short answers, but it hasn't been too bad.
Nice. Got you. Is there a particular, and you don't have to answer, but is there a particular moment, even if it's not in the NFL, maybe it was college, like a particular interview or something where it didn't go south because of you, but just the player just had a bad day or bad game and they just kind of gave you a crazy ass response or was kind of rude? Is there something that stands out for you that you can actually say?
I can't remember, but I want to say like Eric Ebron, like more times than not, was like that when he was playing for the Colts. If they had a bad day, like you'd be able to tell from him. You
would just know it.
Yeah, and he would tell you like it is. And I did always appreciate that. He always was good for a good soundbite.
Right, of course.
But if anyone sticks out to me, like, and he would cuss and Darius Leonard's a lot like that too, but he'll talk to you.
Yeah.
He won't necessarily be short, but he'll talk to you and he'll tell you exactly how he's feeling. And sometimes, and he'll call out reporters. He's never done it to me, but he does it. And I've just been part of the exchange just to see like, okay, we're moving on here. We're done. Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
We got what we needed.
I just thought about something, Taylor. I'm just thinking back, like when you left FSU, they had like obviously like Calvin Benjamin, Jameis Winston, LaMarcus Joyner, right?
I
They
love
had
some dogs there.
they just had some dogs. Jalen Ramsey, like those, just kind of all of those players.
Oh, Ramsey was he was there, wasn't he?
I guess, did you find yourself like building like good friendships with any of them, like on campus or seeing them around at all?
It's funny. Like when I was in college, I didn't really hang out with football players, which is really weird. Like, and I didn't. The covering them was a lot different. Like I did it just for classes, so I didn't really get to do it that much. But like, there's a few that I'm still. Marquez White, when he played for Florida State, he was from Dothan, Alabama. So like, I still keep in touch with him. He has a food truck.
Oh, nice.
Super dope. Terrence Brooks, I'm still friendly with. Yeah. He's still in the league doing his thing. And I was always friends with him. There was a couple of guys like Nick Moody. There was a couple of guys that we were always like friendly with because they ran with similar crowds. Some of them were in some fraternities. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, it is helpful. My first interview ever live on TV was Pro Day. At FSU. I was on ESPN3 and I have no clue where that tape would be, but it was Xavier Rhodes.
Oh, what?
When he got signed by the Colts, it was like, hi, oh my gosh, here's this picture. And we like said, haha, hey, FSU, whatever. So that's always nice. Like you always have that connection.
Right.
And that's helpful.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Probably more now, like from covering Alabama and Auburn, like a couple of Alabama players I'm still really tight with. A couple of guys from Auburn. So when I was covering them more as an adult is when you maintain those relationships. When I was in college, I was like, la, la, la.
Yeah.
Right. Thing. Nah, I definitely got you there. So obviously let's fast forward to now. You're in the great city of Indianapolis, continuing to grow your career. So just first off, before we talk about just kind of your job now and how you're liking it, how tough was it for you to move to Indy? You're from Florida. You've been down south your whole life and came to the Midwest, Indianapolis, totally different culture. It had to be a tough decision.
Yeah, no, when you have to do it for the job, the sports hooked me. It was like the sports here is great. Yeah. So that way I was like not super disappointed. Like I'm going to some shitty town. Like Indy is it's a cool city. Yeah. And I feel like it's a little bit of a hidden gem. The only reason people don't move here is because it's cold.
Yeah.
I was nervous for that. I can't lie. Like living in the snow, I've never done it. Like driving in the snow, I was nervous. It's not terrible. It's not like Chicago here. It's not as bad.
Yeah.
That wind kick a little different.
Yeah. No, it's not that bad. It's not the worst, but I was nervous. But the culture here is a lot like Alabama. That people are very friendly. They're still small towns and people really take you in. They care. Like the Hoosier hospitality is real. That's very similar to Southern hospitality in that sense. And I still like that you get like the city feel, but the towns are like still kind of small.
Yeah.
And they all go to high school games still. Like that doesn't happen in South Florida.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay. But I mean, listen, our high school games are kind of, you got Warren Central. That's the powerhouse. And you got Lawrence Central.
I love Warren.
You love Warren?
Yeah, I'm a Warren.
That's why I knew. That's why I rock with you, Taylor.
And then we gotta get you to some LC games. Look, times are changing.
I'm a Mick girl. I'm a Mick girl for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
100%. 100%. I'm a Mick girl. So
Don't rock with Carmel though. I'm sorry,
bro. Carmel and CG not in the Mick no more.
Really?
They're not in the Mick anymore. They're supposed to be independent.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I need to come back home. Okay.
Times they are changing.
It's changing, bro.
But those are two fun programs to cover too, because they got some talent on the basketball court too. It's fun. It's fun to watch.
I love it.
Indy's a cool city. I would never knock Indy. I actually really like it here. I think it's a good place I really do think like if people want to move here and you can bear the cold for some time, like it's a cool place to live and raise a family for sure.
Yeah, and I would just say like it's comfortable. Like it's not too crowded. You don't get the traffic that you'll get in the big cities and things like that. You don't wait in long lines like you would at a bigger city and things like that. You just get all of the stuff that you can from a big city here, quicker, more efficient, I enjoy it. So
a lot of people say the Super Bowl that was in Indy against was it 2006? No, it was later than that.
No, that was we were in college.
We were in high school, I think.
13 maybe.
You was in college probably. I was probably in high school.
Yeah. 12 or 13.
Yeah, but I remember just being downtown, just in the mix. And a lot of people said that was like their favorite Super Bowl because Indy is like you got all these nice hotels, the JW's right there. And everything's like in walking distance. The bars, and everything's clean. So people say that's one of their favorite Super Bowls. So
it did a great job for the national championship a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
And a lot of people, were nervous about it being so cold, and it was. But the compliments afterwards for the city were really nice, and how well they did. And props to the city. They can host. They can host with the best of them, man. No one does it like Indianapolis when it comes to that.
Yeah, 317. Yeah, Snaptown. So tell us how has it been working at WTHR? Like, just your experience there. Share your experience with the Porch.
It's been fun. Like, I mean, it's a grind every day, just like any other market I've lived in, but the sports here are awesome. WTHR is great. Dave Calabro is great. Obviously, you being from Indy, everyone knows WTHR here.
Come on now.
You get great sports. You got Colts, you got Pacers, you got the Fever, you got great high school sports. The football especially is growing immensely. The basketball is obviously great. And you have racing, which, as you can see, I'm a big I'm a big race fan. I like racing. So there's the Indy 500 is just like the best. It's awesome. And whether you like racing or not, it's just the best.
Crazy environment.
It's been a great experience. I've been here 3.5 years and it flew by. Half of it was pandemic, but
Right.
But I couldn't ask for a better place truly to work, in a better city when it comes to sports. The people here are just awesome. And we have the people that I cover are really good. Like, we don't have any divas for the most part.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think about the Pacers and the Colts. There's not really like a
no.
But it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because it's like when I look at some of those bigger teams and I'm looking at like players who are going into free agency, it's like you almost want to take a diva, take a chance on a diva though, just because obviously it'll sell tickets. People love Lance Stevenson. I think he's a diva.
You think so?
They love him.
I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him.
I wouldn't call Lance a diva. I think he's a character.
Yes.
He's a character. Yeah. So okay. Let me rephrase that. Okay. When I mean diva, I just mean like just a guy, somebody who stands out, somebody who gets that extra attention. Somebody that people will always see. Before anything, right?
Right.
But I just think the Colts really do pride themselves on like that clean cut look. Like, they don't really take chances on people who are maybe a little rough around the edges, to get the job done. I think if they do, though, it'll change the game just a little bit.
And there's gonna have to be a little tweaking in their like a way of life over there. Like, maybe what you're doing isn't necessarily working, so we got to change something.
You know what I mean?
Don't be surprised if there are some names that maybe you wouldn't have expected a couple of years ago. They're still going to get people who don't have. Obviously, they're never going to sign like an Antonio Brown. But don't be surprised if they look into someone that you'd be like, I never thought that would have been a fit. Well, it is now.
Okay. Taylor, she might know something.
I was about to say.
She might know something.
I don't know anything, but I do know that they're going to have to go for some big names, and some of those names come with a price. Yeah.
Facts. And before we transition, seeing that we're on that topic, I know me and Darnell were talking yesterday. If the Rams win the championship, I think a lot of NFL teams will start using that same method of like, hey, we need to win now, so let's get these superstars on the team so we can go. Because they are loaded.
Well, I agree. And the Colts don't make moves during the season. You never see them make moves.
Right.
So they're going to have to start being a little bit more aggressive when it comes to those situations, because it did work for them. But they also do have a quarterback that I believe is obviously light years ahead of Carson Wentz.
Facts.
Yeah. So we got to figure out that
bring in those pieces, and those pieces did help.
True.
And changed the game for them.
Yep. Other pieces and a good offensive system, as you can see. Like, look at the Niners. Jimmy G isn't like incredible. Good quarterback, solid. But I would kind of put him in a comparison of like a Carson Wentz, like that category, maybe a little better, but you put good pieces around him, good system, and you got a chance to go to Super Bowl. So
like an instance you would talk about is like if the Colts would sign someone like an OBJ, like he's not necessarily, he doesn't have necessarily a bad track record. He hasn't done anything, but he's definitely made headlines, right?
Right.
So you might have to sign a player like that because he's a game changer.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
We've all played sports, and we all know, like, we had teammates at any level where, like, this guy or this girl might be a little extra, but man, they can ball. They're gonna make some plays. You got to deal with it. Yes. So, like, all right, let's go to our final segment, our quick hitters. So first question here: what's your favorite interview of your career so far? And then tell us maybe your most embarrassing interview or on-air experience you've had so far in your career.
It's so hard to say. I haven't had like that elite. I don't feel like I've even had that like elite interview yet. But like, because I'm a big racing fan, whenever you interview Roger Penske, He's like preaching. It's so exciting because he's just like this epic man, and he's just still like this sweet Southern gentleman who was like just a billionaire. Very crazy.
Right.
When I first moved to Indy, my first day on the job was to sit down with Frank Reich, and that was really cool. That was a really good experience for me.
Nice.
Obviously, I've never gotten Saban one-on-one, but those press conferences were always fun.
Yes.
So I was always just grateful to be part of those because it taught me how to be bold enough to ask questions.
Yeah.
Which is something that I do now. And a lot of people like will sit there and stay quiet. But when you work in that environment and he challenges you to be better, I always respected that. My most embarrassing, I've never really been that embarrassed on TV, which I'm so grateful for.
Okay.
But in my first market, one time I tried to say Harry Potter, and I said Harry Potty. And this is like the dumbest story, but I literally couldn't stop laughing the rest of the segment.
Oh man, do we have that on tape somewhere?
No,
Can we
we
see
don't.
that?
No, we don't. And it was nothing even embarrassing. It wasn't even like that big of a deal, but for some reason I just like couldn't get my giggles out.
Yeah.
And that was probably the worst.
I'd have been rolling.
Yeah,
other than that, I've been okay. Thank you.
No, hearing other people laugh and they can't stop makes me laugh.
That's what
now we all just laughing.
It was just so embarrassing. It was like Harry Potty, and I was like, no, my God, no. And it was just over from there.
Got you.
That's
I
crazy.
love it.
So I guess for you, Taylor, who would you consider, who's your Mount Rushmore of sports reporters at this point?
Ooh.
Okay, so at this point, it's hard to say because like it changes all the time when new people come in, but I will say like who I like now, but if you look at like the history of it, Susie Colbert, I think it's amazing what she does on Monday night. She's just so much fun. And I try to watch how she interacts with the guys, how she carries the show since she is the host.
Yeah.
She's just always herself. And she's very intelligent and she's very good at what she does. And I just like respect her hustle. And she's worked her way up. She worked in local TV.
Yeah.
She did some racing stuff too in her history. So Susie Colbert's like one of the OGs, you know.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people that I watch that I really, really admire their work and how they go about their business. Laura Rutledge is like A1.
Yes.
If you ever watch NFL Live in the afternoons, they're incredible. That whole show is great. With Mina Kimes too, she's great. But Laura Rutledge, she's also just the nicest person.
Personality. I haven't met her yet, but just watching her, she's so fun and just good energy.
Great.
Yeah.
And just, emulating her. Obviously, when you look at Aaron Andrews and Carissa Thompson, they're elite.
Fox Sports, shout out.
I appreciate their personalities too and how they're very much themselves. And when it comes to storytelling, always Tom Rinaldi is the goat of all storytelling. So when I try to write stories, I think like, what would he say?
Yeah.
So I would say those people, and Kay Adams, I've really started to kind of watch a lot too, because I feel like she's really, really good at what she does on NFL Network. And
that's dope.
She's a G. So
I love it.
So that's my Mount Rushmore right there for now.
Nice. Showing love. Now I'm gonna switch the gears a little bit. Obviously from Indy, I'm a bigger guy, as you can see. I love food. Tell me, what's your favorite place to eat in Indianapolis so far? Talk to me.
I need you guys to tell me your favorites too, so I can go. Since I live downtown,
yes,
I eat at Livery and Union 50, like my favorite spots. Livery is like the best.
Yes,
they got them empanadas.
Yes, like South American food.
Yeah,
I eat it every day of my life. It's the greatest of all time. So that of all my indie restaurants is probably like Livery's my go-to.
Ooh. Bolo, what's your, because it's crazy. Obviously, me growing up there, like you would think like you should have one, but it's kind of changed. So it's not there anymore. But one of my favorites before they took it away, or I think the business shut down, was Scotty's Brew House. We had it in Muncie at Ball State as well, but it was also in Indianapolis. And they would, on Mondays, they would have like all you can eat wings for, I think it was $10. Then they upped it a few dollars. But Taylor, when I tell you I took advantage of that, I took advantage of that. I probably had like 30 wings. Yes.
Going crazy.
Yeah. So right now, what's the sports bar?
Ale Emporium.
Ale Emporium.
Them Hermanaki
wings. Hermanaki wing. How'd you know I was gonna say that, Taylor? How'd you know I was gonna say that?
Because it's on my list too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hermanaki.
I love Ale Emporium. Then I like the Eagle too. The Eagle got some fire food
Eagle's
too.
Good too. It's right across from my house.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
And then I like the steak. It's a steak spot. A lot of people don't really know about it. It's called Hyde Park.
Ooh.
They just reopened.
Oh yeah. I had it like I want to say about a year, 2 years ago. I think pre-COVID I had it, and it was fire. And then nobody really knew about it, but the food was off the chain though.
It's kind of over there by the JW on that side.
Yeah,
So it's like a little bit out of the thick of it.
Uh-huh. Fire, bro.
I'm about to fly back to Indy, man. I'm about to mix a little bit.
Come on down.
For real.
Hey, Bolo, what's that spot me and you used to go to for lunch breaks? Over in Carmel. It's just like it's like a New Orleans type of
Are you talking about Yats?
I like Yats. I'm sorry. I know. I like Yats.
Yats is good. We have one downtown now too. Yeah.
Yeah. When it's cold outside, get you some Yats. Come on now.
Dumbo.
Yep. Ooh, you're talking my
I
language.
have to go there tomorrow.
Got you. Okay. You want to jump in next, Bolo, for the next one?
Yeah. So, all right, shoot us straight, Taylor. Obviously, sports reporting, you got a lot of things going in a lot of different directions. What's the craziest DM you've ever gotten?
Ooh.
Craziest?
Keep it. This is the porch, so you can keep it real with us.
People are just weird. Like people just like say really weird things. Like I think is the weirdest thing is like people will go and like my stories or like they'll respond to my stories and it goes to my like spam box. They'll go for like 2 years straight. And I'm like, you guys, I haven't responded one time. What makes you think I'm going to respond this time? I got one this week and I guess that says, hey, can I fly you to Italy for dinner? Obviously fake, but
right.
I almost wrote them back like, sure.
right.
Have me the information. I'll be there. Honestly, I don't have anything that's like super weirdly creepy. Actually, I do. It's really sexual though. And that is not safe for work, but it was to the point where it was like, they saw me at a football game.
Yeah.
And I forgot about this one. They saw me at a Cathedral football game this year. And it was an account that didn't follow anyone. So it was almost like they made the account just to message me.
Got you. Right.
And they sent me like an explicit breakdown of what they would like to do. And I was like, whoa. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And I was like, I'm going to go now and block this account, but I don't know who you are. And then every time I went to Cathedral game after that, I was like, I have no clue. I looked in the stands. And I was like, somebody
swivel though.
On the swivel, like who was looking at me?
And I was like, wait, I just need to know if you send that DM to someone, did they write? And I wrote them back.
What you say back to him?
And I said, if you're going to be bold enough to say this to me, who are you?
Let me see you. Right. Yeah.
Account. I said, if it's a fake account, I can tell. Like, so who are you? Don't hide behind the account if you want to say something like that.
Right.
My thing is, listen, if you're gonna be bold, like
you want to shoot your shot.
You want to shoot your shot because listen, maybe she's attracted to you. Maybe she likes what you're saying, and maybe you would have a chance. But if I don't know who you are, then it's a waste of time.
It was just the boldest DM I've ever gotten, and I was like, what the heck?
Damn, Taylor, you teasing the porch. I almost want you to say it, but I get it. I don't want to put you. I know you know.
I literally couldn't read it. It was just about what they would like to do with me in the bedroom, and I was like, and it was very visual, and I was like, hold on a second. Ooh. You made a whole account just to message me this. Right. I know you did because I could see it was a brand new account. And I was just like, yo, you guys are out here. I need to know if that works on people.
Right. You can't be bold like that.
I think that scares people more than anything.
Right.
Like, okay.
I mean, shoot, unless you somebody with that $1 billion person, maybe that maybe that worked for the big
face. Maybe we'll talk about it.
Right. Okay. So next one. You said you were in a sorority. You mentioned it a couple times. So I got to ask you this. Craziest party that you attended or crazy is the event that you did at FSU. Talk to me.
Oh, there were so many. Like,
you got one to stand out. Something's on the front of your mind right now. You're thinking about it right now.
No, just like whenever they would have like shows, it was never at a fraternity house that I felt like those were like the biggest parties.
Okay.
Some tailgates got pretty rowdy, but it was always at this place called Baja's. And 2020, that was like the big club, one of the two of the big clubs there. And it would get crazy. And those nights would be just like out of control. So I would say those nights. And then always like Phi Sig would have Christmas, this one fraternity would have Christmas parties, and those were like next level Christmas parties. The Phi Sig Christmas parties were fun. I'll give you that. Those were some of the craziest nights, to the point where like you just slept on a random couch and that was the end of the night.
Yeah, we've all been there, Bolo.
All been there.
Where the hell am I at? What the?
I think I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
Yeah, the Phi Sig Christmas parties for sure.
Man.
Memories.
I love it.
So we'll transition. This is our next segment called This or That. So we'll ask you a few questions and just pick one. So we're gonna put you on the spot here. You got to give us just one answer. So the first one here is D Wade or LeBron James?
Dwayne Wade.
All day, huh?
I
knew you was gonna say that when you said that earlier about D Wade. It's Wade County. I already knew.
It's Wade County. I love LeBron, but it's Wade forever.
Facts.
I feel that. I love it. Next one: Miami Dolphins or the Miami Heat?
The Miami Heat.
Ooh.
I truthfully, I'm more of a football fan, but for me, it's always going to be the Heat for me.
I feel it. Okay. So we got all right. Give me Devonta Freeman or Jameis Winston.
Ooh.
She said, "Ooh."
I mean, I know Jameis is a controversial topic, but Jameis. He was the motor that made that team go. And his personality is great. I mean, say what you want about him, but
love him.
I want to meet James. I know, like you said, some people don't like some of the stuff he does, but I feel like his heart, at least from the outside looking in, is typically in the right place. And he means well, at least seems like that. So I would love to just meet him one day. Just shoot the shit with him. Just talk to him. Yeah, I mean, he got some great speeches. Okay, last one here. T.Y. Hilton or Darius Leonard?
You're not going to make me pick between that. I can't.
You ain't got to. I know. I got it. I know. I'll put you on the spot. I'm messing with you.
I will say this. They're both great men. I have really good relationships with both of them.
And I don't want to mess those up. So you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I've always when it comes to the locker room and the interaction, Darius is just the more vocal personality one. So whenever I was in a locker room, we were loud in there, it was always Darius that I would, gravitate toward when it came to that. So I'm not going to pick sides because they're both great in their own right.
Yes, of course.
That's my answer to that.
I knew that would be a funny one, but I was like, I know she probably can't answer this, but I'm gonna just say it anyway and see what happens. So now
Good try though.
Yeah, of course. You gotta try. You gotta try. So hey, obviously, big game coming up this weekend, but your episode will be going out the following week after the NFC Championship games. So I want to ask you, can you make your Super Bowl picks?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I say Rams Chiefs.
Rams Chiefs.
That's a strong argument because I got the Rams Chiefs too.
We're all in agreement. It's 3-0. I got Rams and Chiefs, man. So I was a little nervous picking the Rams because the Rams have struggled with the 49ers. They haven't beat them the last, I don't know how many times they played. But at some point, it's all right, you got to get over the hump, know. And I'm out here in LA, so I know they're not allowing the 49ers fans to even come to the stadium. I think it's something weird where I think you got to be an LA resident to get to the stadium. I got to look it up to get the specifics, but they're doing some stuff to where they're going to make sure it's Rams fans in the house. Because previously the Niners fans are deep in LA and they be taking over SoFi Stadium. So they're like, nah, we're not doing this. This is a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And man, if that happens, this is going to be a mega star-studded Chiefs and Rams in Los Angeles. Are you going to pull up, Taylor? Are you coming to LA maybe or what?
Listen, I don't think so. We don't have plans of it, but I wish we would. We're NBC. I wish we would, but you never know.
That's crazy.
I can go beg. I'll meet you there.
Meet me there. We can make something happen. So,
all right, 3-0. We'll all put some money on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Ooh. Make some bread together.
I know Aaron Rodgers lost me some money, though. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to just leave it at that.
He lost me some money, too. I ain't going to lie, man. So I'm a little upset. So, now we appreciate you, man. As we close out the show, again, keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. This is our first time getting a chance to actually speak, but just from watching your work, following you online, and just communicating with you, I just know, the work you do is amazing. Good person, good energy. Keep that energy as you grow. And you definitely got two supporters here for sure. So
100%.
And I'm a Porch fan for life.
Let's get it. You heard it here first. Hey, D-Nail, we gonna probably have to edit that out just so we can get Taylor saying I'm a Porch fan for life.
I like that. That might be a reel. Is that a reel?
Got to, bro.
Is that a TikTok?
We gotta make it happen. And Taylor, we got to get you to LC. We got a 4-star DN. We got a lot going on. We going crazy. LC football. I'm just putting them on. That's all.
Shout out to LC.
I'll be there. He said, okay, whatever.
Now tell the people where they can find Taylor online. Anything you got going on, this your time to just shout it out.
I keep it simple for you guys. I'm Taylor Tannebaum on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. TANNEBAUM. There's no N in the middle. So you can find me on all that. I'm a big Twitter shit talker, so you can engage with me on there. You know, the usual. So follow my life. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Just holding it down in Indy. That's all I can say.
Holding it down. Naptown 317. I love it. I love it.
Naptown. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the show.
Thank you
Be
so
blessed. Much. Shout out to Taylor for dropping by, blessing us with her presence on the porch.
Yes.
All right. From the 317 to the West Coast. It's Super Bowl weekend coming up. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe out there. It's your boy Bolo checking out, kicking it with my dog D-Nail. I'm kicking it with Taylor. We are the Porch, and we are out.
Peace.
Porch, that was where it all began. Had to put in work every day, we got it in. We chased all our dreams and now they can't believe it. We make it look easy, we achieving everything we needed. Now we undefeated. If we live